2016 meeting to order. Please, everybody stand.
Bow your heads. Dear Father, we thank you for this opportunity and this awesome responsibility to represent the taxpayers in this way. We pray that you'll give us wisdom tonight as we deliberate on these important decisions, and that our collective efforts will help us reach the best for all. In your name we pray. Amen.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would, please silence all the phones. First item to approve the agenda. You reckon I think we have something?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, if you would, I would like to request that we table item number 4 to allow a little bit more time to do some research on some items that were in there. I would assume you could table that until the next meeting. We just need that resolved by the end of this week. We're going to do that. So of the next, wherever you want to put it, if you all would so say.
Which item number is it?
Number 4 under new business.
Do you think table it to the next meeting or the one after that? What do you think about time-wise?
Yeah, that's what I say. If you believe that you the board, not you personally, can have your items, can get the information that you need and know what you need to by then, because we will have to put this back on by Thursday.
Thursday. It's coming Thursday, right?
So this week, yeah, 2 days from now.
Okay, well, it being this Thursday, let's make it the next day. So what is the following day?
November 1st.
That's the date, meeting date?
Yes, ma'am, November 1st.
Okay, everybody's okay with that? I'll make that as a motion. Is there any other changes? Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented, with the exception of taking item number 4 of new business and moving it to the November 1st agenda.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Deloach. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is our minutes. Consideration to approve the minutes for the September 2016 regular commissioner meeting. Please review and give your motion. Second.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Have a motion by Commissioner Deloach, second by Commissioner Cooper. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Public comments, please. Limit your public comments to the agenda items only. All correspondence, the documents for this meeting are located in the clerk's office and on the board commissioner's website. Our next item is the consent agenda. Item number 1 is releases. Consideration to approve sanitation releases as submitted by the sanitation office. Item 2, consideration to approve fire releases as submitted by the fire department. If there's any discussion, I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion to, okay, the consent agenda 1 and 2.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Loper, seconded by Commissioner Deloach. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll move into business. First item, agreement. Consideration to approve and execute a memorandum agreement with the Savannah Technical College for adult education department for GED testing at the county prison.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, Purchasing Agent. Effingham County Prison is required to offer GED testing to the inmates. As such, the county has an annual agreement with Savannah Technical College. A new agreement has been received from Savannah Tech, which will be effective as of the date signed through June 30th, 2017. The testing is administered at the county prison, saving staff and transportation costs, and is inmate funded, with the cost being about $40 per subject exam, plus $21.60 per hour for the examiner and materials. The agreement has a 30-day termination clause, and as it has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, staff recommends alternative 1. Any questions?
Any questions by staff? Not, I'll call for the motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Deloach, seconded by Commissioner Loper. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? surplus items. Consideration to approve a resolution of surplus. Beyond.
From time to time, the county has broken, unused, damaged or extra inventory, and in order for the county to properly dispose of these items, they must be declared surplus in accordance with OCGA 36-9-2, which states that the county may, by order entered into its minutes, direct the disposal of any real property which may be lawfully disposed of and make and execute good and sufficient title thereof on behalf of the county. This resolution consists of inoperable vehicles, equipment and parcels of land which will all be offered for sale or trade. Any proceeds from the sale of the surplus vehicles and equipment will be used towards the purchase of newer vehicles and equipment. Any proceeds from the sale of the land will be put back into the fund which was used when the land was purchased. Staff recommends alternative 1, Board's approval of the resolution of surplus. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I delved into this a little bit. In your equipment, obviously, it's all deadline stuff. Under land, the first 4 items are all parcels that make up what we call the Central Learning Center. The remainder of those parcels are in High North, and they are tracts of land that we acquired through a lawsuit some years ago, basically trying to get the ball fields that we have, and these are residential parcels that are kind of scattered around that area. Somebody approached the clerk about purchasing a portion of one of those, and upon looking at it, I think staff really didn't realize we had all these. There are 1, 2, 3, 5 of them scattered around. So in doing so, we're asking y'all to consider surplusing all 5 of those and then trying to dispose of them. It's property we don't need. They're anywhere from 4 acres to 0.63 acres. The 4-acre tract, we would subdivide 1 acre out of that is what we're asking you all to consider. And we would hold the remainder of those 3 acres because that is the location that we had previously discussed a fire station in the past. Although there are currently no plans of constructing one in the Pine area, we believe that it may benefit the county to hold on to that one in the future. The remainder are small, they're residential parcels in the middle of a bunch of houses that really need a house on. The central property, we discussed for some time that particular portion. This will be the first step of that ultimate journey. As Fiona said, in order to dispose of anything, we have to declare it surplus. So we're asking you to consider doing that as we continue to negotiate with the IDA. I see, the Springfield Central High School, so she always mess that up, is represented here tonight as well, and they're interested in that property. And we've been working through that. I know Commissioner Deloche is working on setting up a meeting at the end of the month with that group in the IDA to try to understand each other's concerns and issues and make sure they're accounted for. We're not asking you to do anything tonight on that other than declare surplus, and then we will come back later once that process has played its course out before we would actually transfer that to the IDA if that's the course that ends up happening. And the IDA board has not agreed to accept it out, so we're here today in preliminary stages. The remainder, we're asking for you to surplus so that we can go out to sell those. And that method we have done in the past, sealed bid, advertised through the paper. If it's okay with you, we would do the same here. We'd establish some minimum value, around tax value. I think we kind of discussed what an acre of that would be worth. Offer it, and if they do not sell, we may look at getting, an auction company or somebody that could drum up a business for these things. So that's the longer story of what we're asking here. And if there's any more questions, I'll certainly if you want, can answer.
I'm comfortable as long as we do, as discussed about putting that minimum value of something like tax assessment, so that if that doesn't come in, then we can take another look at what to do from there. I'm comfortable with that.
Any other discussion? I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternate number 1.
Second. Have a motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Kiefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 3, contract. Consideration to approve a contract for county administrator. Sharon?
Good afternoon. I'm Sherry Sale from the HR department, It has been customary to approve a contract for the position of county administrator. Last year, in September 2015, the board directed the staff to make revisions to the contract. On June 7th, 2016, the board approved an amendment to the previously amended contract. The current contract is set to expire on October 12th, 2016. No other changes have been made to this contract since June 7th, 2016, and the new contract, if approved, will begin on October 13, 2016, and will expire on October 12, 2017. If approved, a letter of acceptance will be issued from the Human Resources Office outlining the salary and date of the commencement of the contract. Currently, it is the recommendation to approve one of the three alternatives listed. The first alternative is to approve the county administrator contract as presented. The second alternative is to approve the county administrator contract with changes. And the third is not to approve the county administrator contract at this time.
Sherry, I talked to Tulsa County Administrator about this because the first that this was brought to our attention, at least from myself and I think probably everybody else, was that it was about to expire and it was being put on the agenda, so none of us had a chance to really talking about it in executive session like we normally do or anything like that. So since we did make it a more recent amendment and gave him a raise in June 7th of 2016, I asked him if he'd be comfortable with just extending his existing contract until we've had some time to discuss it as a board. And he said he was comfortable with that. If anything's changed, please feel free to say it. But if he is comfortable with that, and that's the recommendation I would like to make, unless other board members may feel differently, is that we extend the existing contract he's working under with the current most recent amendments for a 6-month period to give us some time to discuss any future changes. Everybody comfortable with that?
Well, there was a couple of things I wanted changed anyway, and I told Sherry about them.
Well, that 6 months will give us time to talk to
If
board.
you want to do that, and this is just mine, it's more or less, it won't affect the contract, but it's some wording in there. So I don't have no problem doing that, because I want something changed anyway.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion?
I'll make a motion that we extend the administrator's existing contract with current amendments for a 6-month period from today.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Loach. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Consideration to approve to amend the defined benefit retirement plan documents and approve an office agreement and resolution supporting the changes.
You're up.
Good evening. As the board knows, staff has been reviewing our retirement plans for some time now, trying to find a way to simplify those plans, to give better access and flexibility to our employees and individual control of those accounts to our employees. As such, we've worked with various entities and different professionals to try and simplify what is now our DB plan, our 401A, and our 457. The documents that are in front of you tonight do 4 different things. They are to move our current DB plan to GEBCOR to simplify that process under one house, and to close that particular retirement program and move those contributions that we're currently making over to our DC plan, and to do so to provide a better and simpler access to retirement for our employees. In these documents, basically what we were trying to do is to give the ability for our individual employees to access their accounts, to provide for individual accounts, to do away with the mandatory 1% contribution at this point, and to provide control of those accounts over to our employees. If you will turn to the document that shows under exciting changes that are coming your way, there is a graph or a template of that information that looks like this. And under it is a simplification of that. It basically shows that currently in our DB plan, there's a 1% mandatory contribution and a 3% match contribution from the employer. And what we are simply requesting is that we close the DB plan, that we move that 3% over to the 401A, that we continue on with the same matching principle that we have of the additional 3% into the individual accounts. To do that this evening, we would need to do a plan amendment, a plan adoption, and a plan resolution to make those changes. I believe that we have gone over most of this information with the board in various workshops, and we simply request the approval of the board to go ahead and make these changes to the plan and to simplify our overall processes.
I'll just make a few public comments that a few of us have really been working on this for a long time, and we've worked diligently to make it very, very much where it's nothing but that we can see, but an extreme positive for all the employees for Effingham County, and something I'm very excited about. So, I think that's feel really good about it. And we have met with, I missed that you might have mentioned, I think you guys met with some of the other elected officials also with regard to their staff, but we also met with the sheriff, and they seem very pleased about the changes.
We believe that this will, the DB plan is a very complicated plan. It's based off of a calculation based on years of service and based off of the last 5 highest years. It's very difficult to explain to people, and it's difficult for them to see exactly what they have. And so through all that discussion, we have 2 different plans. We have to do a lot of paperwork when we only have our term rate of employees is about 3.5 years. So they aren't even vested 5 years, which means that we've done all this paperwork and made all these contributions to simply hand that amount back to that employee when they leave. And they only are receiving that 1% that they're actually putting in. And so we have 2 different processes. We have the 457, the 401A, and the DB. And it is a laborious task for both the employees and for staff and outside entities to do that process. So what we're saying is we want to improve that process for the employees. We want them to be able to see their funds. We want them to be able to touch and feel those funds. And if we are able to move that contribution simply over the 401A, they will be able to do that. They will be able to elect their own investments. They will be able to sit there and calculate and look at what they have. And we believe as staff that in reviewing all of the different parameters that we operate under and all the different questions and the things that have come over the last few years, that this is the simplest process in which to provide the benefit to the employee and have them in control of their own retirement, and to give them access and flexibility in managing their retirement. And so we as staff are very pleased to bring it to the board. It has been a long process, but we believe this is the process that we need to go through.
Well, I can give one example as a reference to where their money has been tied up in their DB plan. We did have an employee that the sheriff called and tried to talk to us on this person's behalf that had an emergency that needed to be able to try to use some money against her plan. And there's more flexibility in the one plan that we're remaining with, and she wasn't able to use the other plan. So had all this money been in that one type plan, that would have saved her in that situation. You know, we were able to help her in a different route, but those are the type scenarios where we'll be able to help employees, you know, when they have issues, and just more flexibility and access to their money, so, anyway.
The other piece of this is simplifying not only for staff, but for the employees. As you know, back in March, we went ahead and moved the 401A and the 457 to GEFCOR. And we have Mr. Greg Geese with us this evening from GEFCOR. And that went very smoothly. We are very pleased with the outcome of that. And this will be an extension of that process. And so we basically have put before you the documents, which is a resolution to make these plan amendments. And then the amendment itself, and the plan adoption amount agreement. And these documents reflect those changes to be able to simplify this process and move that 3% we're currently contributing to the DD process over to the 401A, and then close the DD plan. The closing of that plan will be that the same calculations that are made right now at retirement will be made for those individuals. They will be able to take those funds, either roll them into our current plans, our 401A or our 457, roll them into some investment vehicle of their own, or take a lump sum distribution. Any current retirees that are in that plan at this point in time, those retirees will have annuities bought for them so that their retirement amounts will not change. They will get that reflected. But the employees then will have the options to do with their retirement funds as they choose. And not only from that day, but from that day forward. And so we believe it's a win-win for everyone. Simplification, less cost, and allowing the employees to actually have control of every bit of their retirement funds.
One of the very frustrating things to several employees is they can't simply ask, call in a request, or look online or verify what the current balance is, because in the DB plan, all the money is pooled. It requires a very in-depth calculation, and then because of that fact, they charge. So all of those things are going away to where, especially a few of these employees that like to pretty much know on a very regular basis, they can go online every single day if they want to, they know exactly how much money is in their balance. And that's completely differently than waiting around now for a period of time and then having to pay because of some exhaustive calculations had to be done. So that's additional benefit. But,
Good evening. A couple other points. Again, my name is Greg Geese. I am employed by GEBCorp Retirement Solutions. I've been working with county governments for the last 20 years with retirement plans. I currently carry 3 financial licenses, 2 insurance licenses, and I'm a certified retirement counselor. This is what I do. Okay. I've sat in front of commissioners on many occasions and argued both sides. There's pros and cons to both. Going to a DC plan, what you have to realize is the largest portion of most county employees are what? Fire, police. And again, under a DB plan, the earliest they can get it without a penalty is 65. Okay? They can get it earlier, but they're going to lose a big chunk of that. By going to a DC plan, the magic number now becomes 59.5, in which they could access their funds without penalties. So for those people in public safety, this opens up a whole new window as far as retirement to them, which is a huge benefit that I don't have to lose 40% benefit by taking it at age 60. That's most DB plans. When you talk about DB, you basically, the biggest DB plan out there is Social Security. Well, Social Security is great if you live to be 90. What if you die at 55? Not so good. Okay. So whereas with a DB plan, wealth can't pass on to family, with a DC plan, wealth does pass on. So that if that employee doesn't make retirement, their assets are passed on to their families. And again, I'm happy to entertain any questions about DB versus DC, anything as far as the plan amendment, what it means. Again, as Joanna said, those employees currently in retirement, nothing's going to change for them except who's going to send their check. Their check is going to be the same. It will just be a different check provider for them, but their monthly amounts will not change.
I know a lot of work went into it. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we amend the plan document with the amendment as presented by the reviewing attorney, alternative number 1.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Leach. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I could actually cheer for that.
What's that?
I could actually cheer for that.
Thank y'all for your work on that. Next, number 6, this is due to an agreement consideration to approve and authorize chairman to sign an administrative program agreement with ACCG and provide notice to the currently providing the service.
Yes, sir. As part of this movement, we of course will need an agreement with Deadwood, just much like we did with the 401A and the 457. This is going to be a process. We will have to be moving those funds to Deadwood. At that point, there will be an actuarial calculation. That actuarial calculation will be for every person that is participating in the DD plan. There will have to be meetings with the individual employees. Those employees will have to make those elections, and that process will start somewhere around January. We expect most of it to occur somewhere around May and June. There's a lot of background work that has to be done. In the meantime, in moving that to GEPCOR and them doing all the process of closing that particular DV plan and terminating that particular DV plan, there is a lot of P's and Q's and paperwork that has to be done. This particular agreement outlines those services. It is a member program agreement. It outlines the services for the actuarial calculations that will have to be done, the administrative services such as contacting people, the mailings, the meetings that will have to be done one-on-one, group meetings that will be done to educate the employees as to what their choices are. It includes all the reporting requirements, both federal and state reporting requirements, and it is quite extensive. It is everything that we do on a general basis during a year, plus the services that are required simply to close the plan. This particular agreement has been outlined by GEPCOR. It does come with a fee. Those fees right now are being paid out of the DB plan. The overall fee is on the last page. I believe the clerk has updated within your folders. The first one was a draft within the agenda documents. The fee is $255,000. If you look at the fees that we're currently paying overall, it's a little bit more than what we pay on an annual basis for everything else now. So I think it's within reason, and it will take about a year to go through the entire process.
But this is not coming out of taxpayer funds, this is coming out of the plan.
That's correct.
And with what we're doing to dissolve the plan, there is additional funds available to us in that disillusionment that helps pay for that.
That is correct, and then once we are through with this, we will only have the plan cost for the DC plans. So we will no longer be paying this cost out that we are currently paying right now.
In future years, it will cost us less
That's
for
correct.
about the plans.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the administrative service agreement.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Roper. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, contract. Consideration to approve a contract with EOM Public Works LLC for operational and management services to include public works, fleet maintenance, water distribution, and wastewater collection and treatment. You got that one?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, as you all know, the process started back in June, when this item came before y'all, and you know, the decision was made to extend this contract. The previous contract was set to expire July 1, I guess. So back in June, you know, the decision was made to extend this out for an additional 6 months to allow some time for negotiations of that contract to see what it will be. In those months since, that is what has happened. Staff and EOM have worked towards negotiating, I guess for lack of a better term, a contract. And what EOM, who was our provider previously for managerial services only, has suggested as a means to, control costs, and in certain areas that we've done in other areas of the government, I guess, mowing, lawn care mowing, roadside mowing, vehicle maintenance. There's several that we have now that are handled by outside consultants rather than county staff. So one of the things that was suggested is to look at that particular model going forward, and that is what we have been doing, and we now have a contract that's ready to come before you all for consideration. The scope of services for that contract would be water, sewer, the wastewater treatment facilities, collections and distribution of water, the collections of sewer, distribution of water, public works, and everything that it currently entails, and its vehicle maintenance as well, to put everything under one house, one auspice, one contractor, one point of contact. And in doing so, again, we've looked at that. There is, a budget amendment for a amount of money that would have to be approved in order to do this. If we were to stay, if we didn't do this and try to maintain these services in-house, it is my opinion, staff's opinion, that we would need to look at acquiring someone to maintain and run that department. So that cost, if we were to do that, is not necessarily shown in there, which would obviously offset that. So basically what we're saying is, there's very little cost, but the way the budget is set up, you all would need to look at a budget amendment in the special tax district. It would be in water and sewer, not general fund. There's no general fund. In fact, there's a savings in general fund of, I think, about $25,000, or maybe it's the sum of those two, $28,000. So the additional money would be in special funds. It's not a budget fund increase, that being said. So I think that's the basic premise of where we're at. I'm sure there'll be some questions. Mr. Stanley Irvin and Charlie, I can never pronounce it. Hang on. I always mess it up, and I apologize for that. But Mr. Charlie here too as well, that can answer any questions. And I think Mr. Dodson, I think he is. Mr. Dodson with Shenandoah is here as well. So however you all handle it.
I'm Stanley Hurd, the president of EOM. I'd welcome any questions that you may have regarding the contract.
I don't have no problem with the contract, but I have a problem with the contract that the workers go with you. I think we need to keep our road department employees under the county. And that's my own. Because they've been swapped around and moved around over the years and all this kind of stuff. And I'd just like to see our employees with the county department. I don't have no problem with you overseeing them. But it's just the fact that they moved from here, or from under the county commissioner over to you.
I understand your concern. The way that would work is we would retain your employees. And in the event that we were dismissed, your employees would return back to you. They would not be offered any employment by me. And I think one of the advantages of going with a public works provider is that the local regional workforce you'll now attain, in addition to what you already have, is one of the larger benefits of going with the EOM. But as far as you retaining your employees at Effingham County, would not work in our model, but I can guarantee you they would return to Effingham County in the event we were dismissed for whatever reason.
When I spoke with you earlier, Mr. Hurd, the employees will stay here working in Effingham. They won't be transferred.
They will not.
They still report to work just as they always have.
Yes, sir.
And you also said they will be compensated as well as they have been, employed here at the county.
That's exactly right.
As far as salary and benefits, yes.
Yeah, because that was a concern with me as well.
So you would acquire all the county employees working for the road department today under your contract?
Yes, sir, I would.
Commissioner Loper, I'll tell you one of the things, I was skeptical at first, and how well I try to research things, so I did go and tour their facility and that type of thing, and was able to see some of the things that he's talking about of the staff that they have, where they provide training and some various things that they do. I actually think that some of our employees will benefit from being a part of his system. And the regional workforce that he's, just spoke of just a second ago. One example, or a couple of examples that he's given me was such as if one of our primary people, got sick or was in the hospital for a period of time, because of the additional employees they have right there in Richmond Hill and surrounding areas like servicing Richmond Hill and I think Sylvania. Some of those people could come right over here and we wouldn't miss a beat because of that existing workforce he has in place. So there was many things like that I thought was an additional benefit that made it worthwhile for us to look at.
You're basically not limited to one wastewater operator or, one auto mechanic. You have the availability to multiple mechanics.
And I understand that, and I think that is good too, But anyway, I just had moving the employees over there. I mean, we moved them around here and there since I've been a commissioner.
I understand.
And I don't think it's too fair to the employees. I mean, most of them might want to go with you.
Well, I believe that's the case. I believe you could ask, at least 99% of them would answer the question. They would enjoy working for us.
I had one discuss me when we first started talking about it. He wasn't too happy about it. Of course, he might have changed his mind by now. I don't know, but
Could probably know who that is, but
I have spoken to some that I consider key that were kind of in higher positions in some of the various ones, and they did, when they were talking to me, speak very highly, they had no problem doing it whatsoever. It wasn't a concern for them. So I spoke with one today just to be sure he still felt that way.
just about all of those guys are really good guys. They're willing to work. And I know that we've already created a relationship with those guys, and we have no intention of dismissing most of them.
Well, one benefit is on their part, some of the employees, and one of the reasons that they might find it favorable and not be too concerned at this point is because we have been working with the OM on this one area, so they're already familiar with them. So they were able to size them up and decide if they would have a problem. Frankly, I think some of them, because they know we've been discussing this, that they have a serious problem, they'd be screaming at us probably.
We spent months with these guys already, and I think, I'm pretty confident that they're all willing to make that move.
And I understand that you don't take care of them, just like, more or less like they are our employees.
That's right.
And I like that part of it, you don't do that. Anyway, and if you don't take them all and they don't get the, more or less the same benefits we give them, I don't guess I really have a big problem with it.
Well, if there's any additional questions, you can feel free to call me at any time.
Do you have any other comments? Let's see, this young gentleman.
Well, personally, I might ask a couple of questions about it. On the retirement program, have we looked to see if our current employees would be vested immediately in the new retirement program, or do you provide retirement?
We do provide retirement. They would come in as we make the transition.
Yourself.
You need to speak your
Oh,
name.
Wesley Corbett, citizen.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So there would be a transition phase. They would meet with our insurance providers, and we would transfer from their retirement plans and insurance providers to ours.
And would they be vested day one in your retirement program? Because
Yes.
some of these employees, I assume, are,
Just
invested.
that closer to him.
Yes, sir.
They invested day one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Have y'all done some comparison to see what the benefits are as far as the deductibles for insurance policies and so forth?
We spent months, staff.
I figured you had, just thought I'd make sure you looked to make this compliment.
Excuse me, we discussed it, and Mr. Hurd has, basically told us, assured us that they are comparable anyhow. They may not be exactly the same, but they will be receiving comparable pay and benefits. Yes, we have looked at that.
They actually made an adjustment to their contract where it was at a little bit of an increased price because we pay 100% of the premiums for the employees, and with that factor involved, so that it would be for certain that the employee was not losing anything, he made an adjustment to the contract to cover that.
Yeah, and you probably have already done that, but it'd be good for them to go ahead and document and show you this is the premium, this is the deductible, this is the coverage, just so you make sure you got apples to apples.
Finance is the one that worked through a lot of that.
I'd suggest the board look at that and make sure they see that. I had a question, if I can ask a couple more questions on it. The insurance on here, I just read it real quickly, guys, but the insurance says it's $1,000 for liability insurance per occurrence in aggregate. I would suggest you consider a bigger aggregate. If you're gonna be water and sewer, one water and sewer could be a dozen households, and $1 million wouldn't even come close to the aggregate. So I'm not sure, you might want to look at that aggregate.
We'll look at it. It sounds, I'm not sure that's correct, but we'll double check.
Right, that's what it says. $1
What's a
million
million? It's not 1,000, it's a million.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a million, I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
a million.
And we discussed that actually very recently, whether that should be raised or not. And the only thing that I'll say, we went back and looked at what y'all currently do in Richmond Hill, that's what's in there
Right.
with Richmond Hill as well, and understanding what you're
If
saying.
you were just doing public works, roads and ditches, probably, but water and sewer, you could skyrocket in a minute and have $10 million in liability, because if it hits one home, it's gonna hit several. So
Well, that's something we will definitely take a
We'll
look
look
at.
at that.
Maybe an umbrella coverage to cover that department.
I would look at that as a board. And the other thing I noticed on 16.1, it said that EOM is not responsible for any violations they may cause with the regulatory agency. And I'm not sure that's a good provision. You might want to look at that one.
I'm not sure they can really do away with any violations of the regulatory agency by that clause.
I'd remove it though, just because, I'd hate to say that we've given indemnification against something wastewater did, or against
I believe it's,
EOC.
if we're determined negligent in providing certain services, that,
Well, you can never get rid of negligence. I understand the attorney can answer that, but I think it's always true. But where it says consulting services that you're providing, this says that you would not be held liable by the county.
Wesley, will you reference the section so that Lee can take a look at that? Because Lee has studied this contract and made his recommendations to us, so let me, do you know what section you're referring to?
Yeah, I do. We can look at it again and consider, we just need to discuss it some more.
Okay. In other words, if we want to change it at a later date, is what you're saying, but right now.
No, before it's signed. I mean, if we're gonna go back and look at other provisions, like the insurance increasing, then we'll look at that too,
If it's being suggested that we table this, is that, I don't think.
No, I think what, and I was going to bring this up in a minute, if you all want to continue down this path, you should have amended contracts up there. That the attorney said, and y'all haven't seen these, but I promise you it's nothing more than the places we missed where it said contractor, the EOM kind of thing. We did several more we missed. That's in your books. So what we would ask is that you approve the amended contract, and it's, I apologize for not getting to you, but it's nothing more than like where it said contractor, we put EOM, except for at the beginning, Lee changed the language. So the attorney changed the language from where it said beginning to so-and-so date, and then it just basically said started today. There's nothing materially changed
I see.
in that agreement. But you have an amended one up there, so,
So the only changes are the start date and basic corrections?
well, the start date we need to discuss it as well.
Well, I did see in reference to that, I did see an email up here
Correct.
where one of the current providers was asking a question, and it would relate to this, just ask the question while he's standing here, that if we were going to move forward with this particular contract, could they end a little bit sooner, which was the end of November, which would mean we would need to start this contract December 1st rather than January 1st, so we would need to know from Mr. Hurd, is that something that he'd be able to do?
That's not a problem.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, so it would be the start date, the amendments that are for you, that they're all in red in that other contract that's up there.
So there's two things that's been mentioned. One, as whether or not we need to look at a change in possibly the liability insurance. It would just depend on how the board feels about that, as far as if they're comfortable with approving it now and then having it come back if there's some kind of change that we want. And then additionally, what was the second thing?
Well,
The violation section?
Well, the word it says here, it says EOM shall not be liable for those fines and civil penalties which may be imposed by a regulatory agency. Those can be $1,000 a day.
You're probably cognizant of that because of Rankin got fined.
I'm very familiar with these penalties can do to you. 16.1.
Rankin got fined.
Well, we got around it, but it's a lot of litigation, a lot of legal fees to get around it.
Yeah.
And
Where is
you know,
that?
if 16.1, where they're providing consulting services, so if they provide,
Page
Do you want to
32 or 39.
recommendations in wastewater treatment and so forth, and
What's your position on that?
Well, first of all, the insurance requirements, I don't believe it's going to be a problem.
I don't see that.
Yeah, that's not going to be a problem. We do carry $4 to $5 million in extended coverage in other areas. The fines, You know, that's how it's listed in our other contracts, that's how it's listed in any public works contract that we've seen. We really haven't experienced any issues with that in the areas that we serve. It's something we can take a look at. Charlie, do you have anything to say?
We need more changes before the actual contract.
I'm Charlie Hanna, Director of Operations for EOM. I think the reason being you're the owners of the system and you installed the system, so there's a certain design capacity to the system. So, you know, we have very little control over upgrading and being able to handle the system in that way. So if there is a spill or something that's of no negligence to us, that's kind of what that means.
Does it literally say, because I don't have it in front of me, does it literally say where they have no negligence? Does it reference that?
It says they shall not be liable for those fines or civil penalties which may be imposed by a regulatory agency for violation. It says a project.
As a result of EMOC's consultation. So if they made recommendations about the chemicals, the recommendations about construction, and it's proven that that caused the issue, you would not have recourse according to this. Now, I think there might be other litigation you could do, but that just makes it expensive. If you go ahead and clarify, you know, what's the responsibility for the regulatory side?
Lee, let's think about some proper wording that we can feel comfortable in on that.
Because at the end of the day, from an operational standpoint, our operators do maintain liability for our own actions. As a Class 1 operator in water and sewer, if I made a decision that was a problem, I could be sanctioned personally outside of EOM. So there is that aspect.
That's something the state required you to carry?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that is correct. Attorney Griffin, but that's between you and whoever being damaged. But the county wouldn't have any recourse against them.
Sure.
The public certainly have recourse against you. You've got insurance for that. This is addressing the county being able to go against you as a contractor that they consulted with. And they get a fine for them from the regulatory agency. And this doesn't even define the agency, it could be an EOC complaint.
Well, I hear what you're saying, so I recognize if they consulted and had the employees carry out some action which resulted in a fine, then as owners, we're going to have some liability, I can assure you. But with regard to what is being said there, is there some wording that you feel like would...
We could add language to the effect of shall not be liable, EOM shall not be liable for those fines or civil penalties that are solely caused by the county.
Or declining infrastructure.
So if it's something that's 100% county, then
For declining infrastructure, and you're saying, for example, if you make a recommendation that infrastructure needs repair and we won't put up the money to repair it, then you're responsible for that.
That's right.
And of course, in any new construction, we would go through staff and engineering. You know, I seriously doubt we'd ever be able to make a decision when it came to anything new that we would accept full liability for, because Mr. Allen and his battery of engineers would have looked at it already as well.
So, okay, say it again, Lee. Shall not be liable.
we have the word project in there. That's kind of throwing me off. Should that be in that paragraph? Because what?
The word project?
I mean, the word project is in that paragraph. It's kind of confusing. It's as if you're working on a particular project. Because it's,
You don't have to leave the word project in there.
The project is defined in 142.5. All equipment, vehicles, grounds, and facilities described herein located within the municipal boundaries and or owned or currently owned facilities lying outside, especially.
Basically, mean the entire contract is a
Correct.
project.
It basically means the treatment plant, the pumps, all that stuff.
right. That's what I'm saying. It probably shouldn't be there, but that's fine. I want some time to think about that.
Well, if we wanted to attempt to move forward tonight because of the Shenandoah situation and the timing of all of it. Do you want us to table this till later in the meeting?
Later in the meeting. Yeah, I can get it done tonight.
There's a meeting. I think Mr. Dodson wants to talk to you all, let me think about it while he's speaking. Mr. Garvin,
Jack Garvin and Clive, what is the cost on this?
the total cost?
Yeah,
The contract cost is the information that's provided to us shows $1,684,008. Our current existing expense that we had budgeted already is $1,601,617.85. There are a few figures that staff has presented to us as additional costs that they want, as I understand it, and if I say something incorrectly, please correct me. But there was some additional costs put in here that Joanna had figured for chemicals and other things that she would want the budget increase either way, whether we kept it or whether it goes to them. So as Toss was indicating earlier, the cost that we're currently paying plus the cost that we'll be getting this contract for if we were to vote for it would be very close to the same, negligible, because one he mentioned earlier, if we did not give a contract to them, then we would need to hire at least one person. I don't know if it could end up being more people, because basically one of the things that they replaced when they came in was Julie at Water and Sewer and Jerry at Road Department. So it could be at least 2 salaries, and if that were the case, then this would be an overall savings of money probably. But it's very, very close. It's close to similar. And it,
So to answer your question directly, it's 1.684 million, which is basically, it's the base cost. And let's just think about like personnel, and then we set up budgets of $70,000 for public works, 90,000 for chemicals, which is a wastewater treatment plant primarily, and 340,000 plus 161 for vehicle maintenance. That's the total cost, and I can add those up for you. But and like Amir said, those are all in different places.
but are you gonna need the same supervisors? I mean, aren't these people are they gonna be here on a daily basis? Do you
These
need?
two gentlemen, I don't know. They may or may not. But we will have supervisors here on a daily basis.
Yeah, the same supervisors that you're paying now.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'll let Mr. Hurd answer that. I think he's asking, the people that will be supervising for you, will they be the same people that are currently
So they're going to stay,
supervising?
we will have one additional person to be here to monitor the training to our processes.
So we are hiring another.
Well, no, that's not factored into your cost. There will be a representative from my company to train the existing staff to our processes and procedures.
that was one of the benefit points, Mr. Jack, that they were making, that because they have existing staff working in other areas, that we kind of get the benefit of having a larger staff, because in the same contract price of what we're paying for now, we'll have help coming from other areas at times needed like that.
Yeah, and I may not understand what you said, that the supervisor will not be Effingham County employees, they'll be EOM employees. Yes, sir. So they may be the same person, but they won't be employed by the county, that's what you were asking.
Yes, sir. People go back, sir.
I'm Alan Dodson. I'm a contract associate with Shenandoah Fleet Services. I'm from Weatherford, Texas. That's about halfway between Dallas and Abilene, so I talk kind of funny. First, I'd like to convey the company's gratitude for your perseverance to construct a fleet facility that is safe, environmentally friendly, and capable of supporting most of the maintenance requirements that we have today. As many of you are well aware, we have been here just over 2 years. We have just less than 1 year left on our 3-year term initial contract. During those 2 years and for the 5 to 7 years preceding us, First Vehicle worked in a totally unsatisfactory facility with limited capability. There were only 2 bays down there and one 2-post lift that couldn't handle the workload. Since we moved into that new facility, we've had a 4-fold increase in the amount of floor space. We now have 4 lifts in there, one capable of handling up to 16,500 pound ambulance, And although it's light, we do have a 17.5, a couple of ambulances there that can't be used on that lift, and we have a workaround thanks to Joanna and helping and getting us a portable floor jack that we can jack up and so we can work on that heavy ambulance. And I just say I want to thank you again for persevering and your determination in getting a facility in here to support your increased fleet maintenance needs. I've got over 25 years of fleet maintenance experience. I'm a retired Air Force full colonel, so I'm used to adversity and working in less than satisfactory conditions. I've opened contracts in hurricanes, Hurricane Sandy in Washington, D.C. a few years back. I've worked out of tents and in the desert, so I kind of know a little bit about it. I carry 2 ASE certifications, so I am a certified, fully qualified technician. So when I go in someplace, I kind of know what I'm doing. Shenandoah asked me to come in and look at this. I was in Allegheny County in Pittsburgh, starting up a contract with over 1,000 vehicles there, and Shenandoah asked me to come look at this one. I came down here to review the operation at Effingham and make recommendations for changes and improvements that could be made in this operation. Bear in mind, when I came in here, they had been in that new facility, or were in the process of moving in that building on the 1st of July. Despite a lot of turmoil in getting everything set up and getting in there, we were able to succeed in making that transition. And I'm happy to say that as of today, the backlog that we had been experiencing, that it goes back into June, has been virtually eliminated. And my favorite one is that patch truck. It's finally gotten fixed today. We're able to get the final nozzle in it, and my favorite friend, Mr. Rosen, was walked out as a happy camper. I'll tell you, that was one of the things I wanted to get done. If you may or may not recall, just before the last hurricane that came through here, we went through every one of the generators that are throughout the county and serviced them and tested them, made sure that they were operating, and were on standby that entire weekend. I sat here waiting for calls that didn't happen, which I was very happy about. We meet every afternoon to look at what's going on, what's in the shop, what's on the agenda for the next day, and any long-term planning. It's something that had not been done in the past, simply because there was just not the kind of leadership that we felt was needed in the operation. But a vital part of sustaining and productivity is to have a plan. And right now, we're running about 80% productivity, which runs out about 6.5 hours out of an 8-hour day for a technician. Industry standard is about 65 to 70%. So we're running a little bit higher in our productivity. We're getting more out of our technicians in an 8-hour day. Last Friday, at the close of business, I had an empty shop. That's everybody's dream, is they get the floor cleaned, and so you can have a relaxed Friday afternoon meeting. One of the things that you may or may not know or be realized is that Shenandoah Fleet is a small, disadvantaged veteran-owned business. Mr. Bill Jones is an Army officer and started this business about 7 years ago. And as such, as a small business, our corporate assets and financial resources are smaller than the industry-leading companies with national recognition, including your previous contractor that was here. But there's no company in this industry that works as hard or is more customer-focused than Shenandoah. I will tell you that I have met and I have talked with the gentleman that's here with EOM. He is a very qualified, and I respect his position in the public works environment. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a civil engineer, so I don't have any qualms about what he does there. But I am a vehicle maintenance person, and I know what we do for fleet maintenance and what is the best we feel for this county. when the discussions that you had here a while ago, you talked about the cost of the contract. Well, I can tell you that contract is going up. You know Pete Hosalas, who works in the Sheriff's Department, he just left our office. And we're talking about your Challengers and your Crown Vics now that the front ends are beginning to deteriorate to such a point where we're having to change motor mounts and tensioners and not just brake drums or rotors and pads. We're getting into some serious maintenance now. That contract, the contract that you have now, the $500,000, the $340 and a $160, is not going to cover what you're going to be faced here in the very near future. You're going to have to look at it and look at it in that respect.
Let me interrupt you just for a second and just say this. This is a good point that you bring up, actually. In studying all of these numbers and reviewing what we're currently looking at doing, one of the things that we do recognize is how tight our existing budget has been for the last few years. And you can know and recognize that we understand the budget constraints that you've been held to, because we have been in a very bad situation. The economy, everybody knows what has happened with the economy.
Yes, ma'am.
So the budget a few years back was higher, and it's been lower and bottomed out the last few years. So we do recognize.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand what you're trying to say to us, is that this budget's low right now, whether you have it or they have it or we have it or whoever has it.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a tight situation, and we'll probably have to increase no matter what. And whatever that is what we will have to do. If
Yes,
the
ma'am.
cars need a certain item, we're going to have to take care of that. So I do recognize that.
Yes, ma'am.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to make.
That's quite all right. No, the point is that to just believe that that's all the cost is, it's not there. I mean, there is going to be an increase in this. Shenandoah has been in this fleet maintenance business for about 9 years. They have contracts all over the country now. We're currently right now outfitting the FEMA for deployment back to Louisiana for that kind of work. It's all related to maintenance of equipment, vehicles, tractor trailers, whatever. When the discussion was made earlier with the gentleman from EOM, there was no discussion about their qualifications, background experience in fleet maintenance. And I would challenge you to take a look at that and see what they've done, where they are, how many contracts have they had, what's been their experience. Also, on your budget, we're running 20% under your budget that we had for this year. And had we made it to the end, if we were successful in going to the end of this contract next month or next August, that we intend to at least be that far under the budget that we have and working it. And you just don't get there by willy-nilly. It takes some work to make sure that you're getting the best price. And Mr. Allen knows that we watch every nickel that we spend on those vehicles to make sure that we've got the best price.
With respect to your comments, I will throw in there, for my own undertaking, I went and reviewed and checked out the facility, so I actually went to their fleet maintenance that they're overseeing in Richmond Hill, and at least did that much and talked to the manager over that shop in that particular location. So with all due respect, we've done some research, and different ones have done different things, but we haven't come to this voting place on this contract without doing some of the research. And, I want to treat you with respect, but I just want you to understand.
I understand.
Okay.
The only thing that I'd say in regards to that, ma'am, is I first heard about this when I came before the people that I'd been discussing this with, Mr. Allen and Joanna, and I had in my hand a resume of a gentleman that we had basically were going to give a job offer to take over this contract, and was told, hey, you better hold off on that because this board meeting, that was the first real indication that we had that this was even being under review.
Well,
and had we known, maybe we'd made some other changes or done something a little different.
We did want to let you know, one of the reasons you were told that, frankly, you were told that as a courtesy to try to let you know it was being considered as early as possible, because while we're investigating things, we don't know what we're doing. But
Yeah.
we did try to have enough respect to your company to let you know we are thinking about this, we are looking at it. So we did that as a courtesy. And one of the reasons that we have looked at this particular item, we did it inclusive of all items together, but frankly, we did try to give you that benefit as much as we could.
Okay. This, in closing, I would say that it's been an honor and a privilege to work with the men and women of Effingham County. I've met some fine men and women in the uniforms in the fire department and the guys that run the backhoes and the patch trucks, and they're some of the finest that I've ever run across. They're dedicated to their job, and I just want you to know that I pass that along there. They've been a wealth of knowledge to me personally and a helping, and I want to say thank you for that, and thank you for the time to at least present my company's position to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion before I ask for a motion?
Yeah, I just want to say a few things. I myself, I've toured the facility of BOM in Richmond Hill. I think I met 3 master mechanics. I think the day that I was there, the facility was very clean. Met quite a bit of the different employees. From time to time, when I go by our Public Works trailer, talking with the guys, they all have positive things to say about EOM. As most of you know, my district covers the north half, land area, north half of Effingham County. And since becoming a commissioner a year and a half ago, starting out it was pretty rough. And then actually it was very rough. And once EOM came on board and started helping us out with our Public Works department, my life became easier. I don't know about all the other commissioners, but I have to deal with Public Works a good bit, and Commissioner Loper does as well for District 4. So my experience so far has been really good with EOM. I think they've done a good job. They've helped us out. I know before we talked about the employees. We do have them in the contract because we wanted to look out for our folks. And if they do transfer over to EOM, it is in the contract that they will, if we do decide to terminate the contract with EOM in the future, our employees will come back to us. And I know we were going over some figures earlier, and due to the past years of rough economy over the last 3 to 5 years, I mean, our total numbers have been cut around 250,000 through these departments. And I feel that going forward with this contract, this is going to help streamline a management team to help satisfy the taxpayers and their needs. And at this point, everything feels good to me. We've done a lot of research behind the scenes, and I feel really good about it.
And I question you about the number 10 in our agenda here about EOM will offer employment to most of our current employees, but you told me earlier that you were going to take all of them, right?
There's one employee in question whether we'll hire or not. And, we are going to take all, I can guarantee we're going to take all of them.
The point, I will say this, Commissioner Loper, in a conversation with Administrator Allen, there was an employee that was in question mark whether we would keep that employee or not. And I believe that's the same consideration that Mr. Burke has. So
Well, I don't have no problem with that.
Yeah.
He's working in HR, and he got to, I don't know what his
I don't
job
know names, I don't know who it is, I'm just saying there's one that's in question about that.
No, I don't think I'm talking about her. I think she said in the conversation with me, I represented that there may be one that didn't come over, which is why I wrote it this way. I didn't want to paint a picture that, if Mr. Hurd wanted to not offer the one that I had said that he would hire them all. That's why I put it that way. Based on the conversation I had with him, where he said that there may be one wasn't offered an employee.
There may be one that's not offered,
But it wasn't Alan, that's not what, she wasn't talking about Mr. Cook, she was talking about.
but Toss
She-
told me that it's an employee that he may not have wanted to retain either.
Well, I just hate to see anybody that lose a job, you know? And that's my biggest problem, who, thing, as far as what he's doing, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever.
In this process, there's no type of layoff or anything like that. The only person that wouldn't retain a job would be somebody that has been seen to not be satisfactory.
So what we don't do with that one employee he does not want, we don't keep him.
That wasn't the plan.
Pardon?
That, no, sir, that's not really budgeted in these figures.
That was the point I was making that Toss was saying to me when I asked that that was somebody he may not want to keep either. That was the point. Whether we make the change or not, either way.
What about my employees? The mechanics, the fire truck mechanic, the ambulance mechanic, are they going to hire him?
Are they your employees or are they our employees?
They're our employees. But if do I let them go?
I would hope you could find work for them elsewhere, is what I would have to assume by that. I would understand.
Well, I'll tell you what, EVT mechanics are not easy to find in the counties around here. That's the guys that are trained and are qualified to work on fire trucks.
There may be scenarios in which Mr. Hurd would be willing to hire them if you don't need them. I don't know, that'd be something to talk to him about.
But as far as county employees, I have a feeling anyone that deserves a job will probably keep a job.
That's exactly right.
He's saying literally there's only one in question at all, so. Okay, let me read the change that the attorney has put in here so that all board members can hear that change and see if they're comfortable with it. And if they're comfortable with it as it's written, then we can make that part of the motion if you're ready at that point. EOM shall not be liable, and also, Mr. Hurd,
Yes.
be sure you listen to what I'm about to read because this is going to be a change that we're recommending for the contract. EOM shall not be liable for those fines or civil penalties which may be imposed by a regulatory agency for violations of the project or are a result of the owner's infrastructure where the owner has been notified in writing by EOM of such
So could
deficiencies.
we add the word between owner's infrastructure, could you add the word "and" where the owner has been, trying to read this.
And where the owner has been notified?
Right.
Yep. Okay, that is as recommended by the attorney with the word "and" included. Was everybody comfortable with that addition?
I'll make one comment. That'll be striking 16.1
Yes.
as it is and replacing with what you read.
Replacing, this is the replacement for what is currently shown in the contract under 16.1, what I've just read. Is everybody comfortable with that?
That's right. I'm good.
Is there any other conversation you want to have before the motion?
We're good with or, infrastructure or where the owner has been not found, I'm sorry, I'm kind of having a hard time reading this, but
Okay.
between owner's infrastructure, if you added the word or, where the owner has been notified.
And,
You have to give the notice for us to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get to see a situation where we don't know, and then you're saying, well, you're responsible because it's your infrastructure. Well, if it's your job to manage the infrastructure, we need to know about it if we need to incur the expense to update it or replace it. That's why that language is there instead of the or. You've got to give us notice. If you're going to walk away from liability, we need notice, but there's an issue.
But in where you have issues like when you have a collection system, a lift station, if you could have a relay fail at any time, you could have a phase monitor go out at any time. This isn't something that we can check and go, oh, well, it's beginning to fail. So if this fails in the middle of the night and we have a wastewater spill, it's our position that we don't feel like we should be held liable. We will fix it and we will mitigate it as best we can. But in those types of instances, as the owner of the system, we feel that things like that should be your liability.
Or a force main that can't be seen.
Yeah, that's the difficulty with trying to have the kitchen sink approach with one paragraph. I mean, the other option would be to delete the paragraph And if something happens, that's when we'll deal with it.
I don't think we'd have a problem with that.
No.
Because all your responsibilities are contained in the contract.
Sure. That's right.
If it's,
So are we comfortable with deletion? I do think, I don't want to be risky, but I do think to a degree, typically, there are going to be certain things that they're going to require us by law to be the ones fined, and certain things they are, and it's pretty well covered.
The reality is if you have a force main failure, whether we're managing it or you are, it's going to go when it's going to go.
Well, that's why we pay the attorney to sit here. All right, so we're
And-
comfortable with the deletion of 16.1?
yes.
Everybody?
All right.
Okay. Is there any other conversation? I'm sure before I start making.
Make the motion.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, we'll make a motion that we approve the contract as presented with the current changes that were mentioned, with the effective date being changed to December 1st, 2016.
I believe so, everybody's fine with that date.
Was there anything else that needed to be in that motion that anybody can think of?
The only thing as presented, you come off the one that is.
With the changes that you referenced, that we put in our vote together.
I want to ask one question before we go on this. So we got one employee, whether he takes him or he doesn't take him, we don't get rid of him. Is that what I understand?
Well, that literally could be up for discussion. If there's something, if we have an
No,
employee.
he says he's not going to take one.
Yeah, so I'm saying,
So what I want to know is,
it'll be up to the administrator.
are we going to get rid of him whether we sign this agreement or not? And that's what you want.
Regardless, well, no, sir, because I don't know who that one person is, so I would say no. If you didn't sign the agreement, not tomorrow now, if the person needs to be on for some reason and that were brought to light, it may be possible.
I'm just saying, at whatever point in time, if there's an employee he doesn't take, then we could still retain that employee elsewhere if staff deem we need them and it's a valuable employee.
Well, that's what I'm asking is,
Can I say something?
that's my question. is-
I'd be willing to offer this particular employee another probationary period. To retain him as an employee of EOM with a 90-day probation.
And I don't have no problem with that, but I want to know is if you don't take him, or we don't get rid of him anyway, and that's my question to Toll.
Well, if you're comfortable in taking him with a 90-day probation, if he's comfortable in taking him with a 90-day probation period, it's giving an employee that I'm hearing that we've had some problems with an opportunity to perform well in this new function, or not. I'm okay with that.
And what he just said,
Yes,
I'll go along with that.
okay.
And you said this would be another probationary period? At this
Well, the guy's been, warned several times. We don't feel like he's productive for the county. We don't feel like he'd be productive for us.
Rather than him not just say, I won't hire him, I'll give him a chance. And I think that's a pretty good, actually.
But we will give him a chance.
I'll go along with that. I just hate to have somebody just language lose his job,
I understand.
So, and I don't know who the employee is, and I don't care who he is.
That's okay.
But I just wanted to make sure, what I understood from him, if the employee's gone, whether you take him or not, and that's the reason I asked that question again.
I see.
If you take him and do what you can, or he or whoever it is, and try to work with him, and if he doesn't make it, then I don't have no problem with that.
Agreed.
I think you hire out to do a job, you need to do your job.
Well, exactly. That's what we feel.
So, and I don't have no problem with that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, I have made the motion that we accept the contract as presented by staff today with the updated changes, that we delete 16.1 from the contract, and we make the effective date December 1st, 2016.
I have a motion by Commissioner Plum and a second by Commissioner Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda. Consideration to authorize the chairman to sign a termination letter to Shenandoah Food Maintenance and Management LLC.
Mr. Chairman, this is just Excuse me, just that, since you just approved the contract for EOM to provide services and fleet maintenance, we do have a current provider, Shenandoah. You would need to provide a letter terminating that contract November 30th. The letter that's in your package would need to be amended because it says December 31st. Shenandoah's requested, if we do this, to move that date to November 30th, is that right? The last day of November.
It says 30th.
Yeah.
The letter says, the email says 30th.
Yes, ma'am, November 30th. So that change would need to be made to this letter as
Are there
well.
only 30 days in November? I was thinking there was 31, but there are.
30 days.
November 30th.
Yes, sir. And that'd be the last line of the next to last paragraph on that letter where it currently says contract with, King Electric terminate the contract effective December 31st. That just needs to be November 30th.
Any discussion?
Make a motion that we authorize the chairman to sign termination letter to Shenandoah Fleet Maintenance and Management and change the date of the effective termination to November 30th, 2016.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Cooper. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, to approve a final plat for Fox Chase subdivision.
RC.
So consideration to approve a final plat and accept the deed for the infrastructure of Fox Chase subdivision, formerly Old Dixie Estates, located on Old Dixie Highway.
Mr. Chairman, Crane Properties LLC is requesting final plat approval of Fox Chase subdivision located off of Old Dixie Highway South. Subdivision consists of 22 lots and 2 open space areas. Public Works has inspected the road and storm drainage infrastructure, and all punch list items have been approved. They recommend approval. They have submitted a maintenance security bond in the amount of $28,786 submitted to the county. Final plat checklist and warranty deed were submitted. Our county attorney has reviewed the warranty deed and recommends approval, and staff recommends approving the final plat.
Did you say the bond was received already?
Yes, ma'am.
Taking over, that's a good time. Any discussion, any further discussion? Board or? If not, I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternate number 1.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Leatherford, seconded by Commissioner Deloach. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, in consideration to approve to appoint an individual to the position of ACCG GSIWCF-RMA Safety Coordinator, and to approve the chairman to sign the safety verification forms.
Absolutely. It stands for Group Self-Insurance Workers' Compensation Fund. ACCG handles our workers' compensation and our property liability insurance. Over the past few years, the clerk has been the coordinator and the purchasing agent has been the contact. I would like to request a change. Lee actually had an audit today with ACCG, not technically an audit, but he just overviews and makes sure that we have everything in order that we need. At one point in time, the coordinating was done through the HR office, and then it got transferred to the clerk's office. I would like to request that it's transferred back to the HR office. So on this form, instead of the clerk, it would be the HR department. Everything else would remain the same.
Have you discussed this with the HR?
Yes, in the meeting today.
HR director, 2 days?
That's right. We do this every year. We have to do it to maintain our discount.
Just assigning the person.
Just signing the person. For workers' comp and risk management.
I don't have no problem with that. If HR does it.
And does it have to be a person's name or just a department?
Department, we can do department.
Any other discussion? Not, I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
So,
Do we need to,
I thought it was in there. Or you didn't, this document was not correct. So with the correction as for the HR director,
HR department.
HR department.
Refer to the
Yeah,
HR.
I'm motion. Alternative number 1 with the change, that the name be HR department.
I still second.
have a motion by Commissioner Kiefer, seconded by Commissioner Deloach. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is resolution, consideration to approve a resolution to transmit the fiscal year 2016 capital improvement element to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Each year, we are required under our CIE to transmit to the DCA a listing of the current projects, their funding sources, and the current status. In your packets tonight is that listing, along with those items that have been changed in red. For the most part, most of them have to do with the years, the ending date or the year in which we believe that will be completed, and/or the status and the remarks as far as the comments. In addition to that listing of capital improvement projects, which includes roads, parks and recreations, public safety, water and sewer, we also have to declare to them the financial information regarding the impact fees that have been collected and what has been spent. So you will see documents outlining each one of the capital improvements projects within each of those areas, along with the financial information that has to be transmitted to the DCA. That information has to be transmitted to them. They review that, they make their comments, and then at a subsequent meeting, we will have to actually have a resolution to adopt that CIE. There is one change that I noticed within your documents this evening. There's a transmittal of resolution. That transmittal of resolution about the middle of the page shows August 19th, 2014. We will need to adjust that date.
To what?
To the current,
Today's date?
yes.
That it?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? If not, I'll call for a motion.
Making a motion that the board approve alternative number 1 to transmit the capital improvement element update as written with the one correction of changing the date on the resolution to November 4th, 2016.
To October 4th.
Oops. October 4th.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Deloach. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, consideration to authorize the chairman to sign an overview and concurrence form in support of a request for a letter of map revision.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Craig Barrow would like for us to submit a request for a letter of map revision from FEMA for a portion of the 1% chance base flood elevations and floodplain for a segment of the Geechee River in Effingham County. Part of that process for submittal for a LOMAR is completion of the overview and concurrence form, which is in Form 1, which represents concurrence from the affected community, in this case us. On September 12th of 2016, we received a request via email to sign an overview and concurrence form in support of that application that's coming in. Signing of that form basically states that we concur with the LOMAR request as presented. The person signing the certification should be the CEO for for the community involved, for the chairman in this case. The basis of this request for revising the map stems from the applicant's assertion, that being Mr. Barrow, that FEMA used improper maintenance roughness coefficients in the original head-grass analysis that they did for these maps. And the scope of the proposed revisions consists of modifying those same maintenance roughness coefficients for 8 cross-sections in the effective head-grass model. The new maintenance coefficients were calculated using 16 field measured tree surveys and procedures outlined in USGS Water Supply Paper 2339, which is the guide for selecting maintenance coefficients for natural channels and floodplains. The results of those evaluations changed the water surface elevations and the extent of the floodplain on 6 panels of the firm mats inside of Effingham County. And I say all that to get you to a point of, I believe that there's a whole lot of variables in this thing and a whole lot of moving pieces for staff to go about making recommendations that all of those things that I just said are accurate and true. So I don't know that it's proper to ask you all to sign that letter stating that you concur with all of those things. If you believe that, the communities disagree with a proposed revision, a signed statement should be attached to the request explaining the reason or basis of that disagreement. So we have attached a letter to this as well. So basically what we're asking you is to either sign the overview and concurrence form stating that you agree with their rationale and methodology that they use to adjust the maintenance roughness coefficients to go back into the models to affect the base flood elevations and the hydraulic models, or state or sign a letter that says those things, that we don't believe we are of sufficient knowledge to be able to review these hydraulic calculations and make a determination one way or the other. So
The staff's position is to deny.
Well, we can't just deny. If you don't sign the concurrence form, you do have to send a letter stating the reason that you don't want to do so. And these are FEMA regulations, not ours.
Now, is this time sensitive, or is this something that we can put some more time in being sure we?
I would say the latter. The applicant asked us to have this by yesterday. We wrote them back and said we can't do that. We'll take it to the board on the 4th. We'll let you know after that. I don't believe we're under any obligation of a time frame from them, but we are under an obligation to at least give them an answer one way or the other. So if you all would like to delay this, I mean, that's certainly your prerogative to do so.
I think personally, I'd rather understand it in a little bit more clarification. If I had to do it today, I wouldn't be able to do it, I can say that.
This is a continuation of the other requests that have already been submitted and denied in the past. And basically what it is they're seeking to have guidance away from a treatment plant stop is what all this is about. It's that continuation of that lawsuit. So they're taking another bite at the apple, if you will. So if you want to weigh in and discuss
Okay,
all
either way,
that,
if I could vote tonight, if I vote tonight, I wouldn't be able to support it. Or if you guys feel like it's something you want to consider, then I would need to table it.
well, again, my suggestion as staff would simply be to authorize the chairman to sign a letter that says we're not supporting this because we don't know what all this means.
I'm okay with that if everyone else is.
Yeah, staff's not suggesting that you sign the letter of concurrence. We're suggesting that you would sign the letter non-concurrence, if you will. But however y'all do it, you want to discuss further, that's certainly your problem.
I didn't know if any of them wanted to consider it further, but I'm fine.
I understand.
Yeah.
Understand.
Everybody good? Yeah. All right. Somebody give me a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny or not deny, but to send a letter stating that we don't understand.
Yeah, that would basically alternative one is authorize chairman to sign a letter denying the request to sign the overview concurrence form, so.
So the motion is to recognize.
Authorize the chairman to sign the letter.
Alternative number one.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Kiefer, second by Commissioner DeLoach. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And our next item is appointment, consideration to approve to reappoint Mary Weddle and Beck Long to the library board.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I think once we reappoint these two, if it is your wishes, we'll be done with the library board. Last meeting, we appointed someone. This meeting, we need to reappoint if it is your wish. Their terms expired June of this year, actually. I received an email from the library director requesting that these two individuals be reappointed, and they are willing to serve another term.
Sounds good. Any discussion on that? I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve Larry Will and Becky Long to the library board.
Straight.
I have a motion by Commissioner Luper, second by Commissioner Roach. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That's the end of our new business. Next thing, we have reports from staff or commissioners and staff.
You want me to start? You all have your monthly animal shelter report tax. The rest of this is mainly a continuation. It was all on your list from last month. I bring it back up. I know we ran through this very quickly last month. And some of these are fine, like the hospital forum is actually tomorrow, if you want to go. ACC district meetings is again November 9th, so it's kind of a placeholder in the calendar. The Community Planning Institute, November 17th, 18th, if you're interested, there's an agenda attached. Remind you once again that October 15th and 16th will be a community cleanup. That's a Saturday and a Sunday at the Fire Recreation Center. There's a flyer attached in here as well for that event. And then the Effingham Herald has asked on the November 9th edition of the Herald, they're including a veterans tab. I'm not sure what tab is, but there's a veterans tab. And they've asked if you all would like to place an ad honoring our local veterans in that. And I don't have the numbers and prices. Do you know those, Stephanie? What it would cost if you wanted to do it?
I'll look it up.
And while she's looking that up, they've also, in the same email, had a generic statement that if you know anybody personally, a veteran that you'd like to honor, if you could send their photo to them, they will do so. So if you know that person. And while she's looking up that ad, whatever the price is, if you all would like to run one. And then, a while back, we were approached with a grant opportunity. And I don't know if grant's exactly the right word. I don't know what is grants, a donation, it's a gift. Kinder Morgan has approached us from a public safety standpoint. Would like to give $10,000 to be used for a foam trailer. We used to have a foam truck, I guess, and it died. So we're trying to build a trailer that would carry these totes of foam, like tanker explosions, things that we need foam for. And anything, again, I don't know exactly what it is. Donations or gifts over $5,000 have to come to you all. So I guess I'm asking if you want me to bring that forward as an item for you all to consider accepting, or something you may not want.
What's it for?
This is for the fire department or?
Fire department for, to be used for a foam trailer used specifically to tote foam. That foam that they use is surfactant. Certain type of.
Okay, foam, okay.
Subsidize?
Sir?
Do we want that? That's up to you.
The trailer, yeah. We do want a foam trailer.
Yeah, I mean, if they give it to us, that's fine.
But we're going to do that and bring it forward. That's what you're asking.
And I'll check in and see what it is, if it's a grant, a donation, a gift, what it is, but I suspect it's like it's just a donation or a gift, which will require you all to approve over $5,000. So just want to make sure you want to go on.
And on the special salute to the veterans, those prices range from an eighth of a page, which is $70, to a full page with color to $556. That's the range.
I think we need to donate something to it. I mean, we get a lot of veterans in Effingham County. And what they do, they put a little magazine, I guess this is the same thing. They put it in the Herald at a certain time, and it's got everybody's picture and when they served in the war. And, I don't have, maybe not a whole page, but I think we ought to donate something to it.
Anybody else's take? I mean, we can work.
We would disagree, or
You want
you
to say, to add something like the board of commissioners support for veterans or something.
Right.
I think I need to do something.
and we're going to tell them tomorrow, I think, because
We're ready.
the paper comes out tonight, so take care of it. The only other thing that I have is you all have probably, hopefully, entered down the world's worst terrible about this on the third spot. We do have Miss Vicky Dunn here with us tonight. She started yesterday and she hasn't ran away yet. That's a positive thing. I keep waiting every minute, you know. But she is our human resources, you know, at least interim director and probably our director, you know, at some point. She's definitely been helpful and we appreciate her time here so far, those 2 days. And look forward to, you know, continue relationship with her. So this is Ms. Dunn, so you all know who she is.
Welcome.
And that is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other staff? Any commissioners?
I see, Mr. Morgan back there, and, I'd like to know something about the rec department. How we do with the rec department on 21?
That's an open-ended question, sir. More specifically, what part would you like to know about? The new rec facility?
When, yeah, when, where, and how?
They have started. It's the part that you can't hardly see. They're staking it out. They're actually clearing it. They're way in the back corner over there.
I see one piece of equipment back there,
Yes,
so I don't know if that was a dummy just put that.
It's not like one of those mechanical deers that moves his head. It really is moving. It's clear. They've been working on getting all the staking work done, so the clearing limits and so forth, so they should ramp up a little bit now. On it, but we are under construction, although it's not as prolific as we would like to see, we are under construction.
It'll get there quick now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it'll definitely escalate a lot more quickly from this point forward.
Quick is how long? How long was that? 6 months, 3 months?
No, the entire project was 12 from the time we started, and since we just started, yes, 12 months is what we
No, I just
anticipate
talk
completion.
about before we get started, so we can really see something on that one.
Oh, you're talking about when you can really see, yeah, that won't be 12 months, that'll be in the next few months, so that they'll be clearing, all those trees will be gone within the month, and they'll be starting mass grading. Yeah, you'll definitely see some activity over the next couple of weeks.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Any other commissioners?
Not at this time.
Any other discussion? We need an executive session.
Yes.
We do. I'd like to do the quick list before we go in.
Is he here?
Yes,
Yes.
great, okay.
We need a moment. So should we need to adjourn for executive and you can take 50%?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion for executive session?
Did you want to address the board?
Are we about to adjourn?
Sir?
Are we about to adjourn? I'd like to say something if I could, please. Y'all done with your agenda?
Was there a specific agenda item you wanted to address?
Excuse me?
Was there a specific agenda item you were attempting to
No,
address?
ma'am. It's my own agenda.
Up to the chair.
Mr. Kiefer's aware of it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, I thought that might have been you. It's up to the chairman.
We can give you 3 minutes.
Y'all listen to me? Okay.
State your name.
Good
They
evening.
were saying that because typically we request that you get your name on the agenda prior to the meeting so that we have some kind of notice as to what
Well, Phil knew I was going to be here. Your director, your road director knew I was going to be here. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not politically correct all the time.
That's okay. Would you state your name for the record, please?
Richard T. Wills, 249 Holly Lane. Good evening. Thank y'all for your time. Do any of y'all live on a dirt road? I think that doesn't know.
I do not.
Grew up on one.
Excuse me?
I grew up on one. Don't-
Okay, then you know about it. And you're aware of the conditions that the road that we have over there. I was here 2 years ago asking y'all for y'all's consideration for the maintenance or lack of maintenance of Holly Lane. Your maintenance director said at the time, and then I realize you have a new director now, who I spoke with this morning,
But at the time, the road director said he hadn't heard any complaints, only me, since he'd been on it with the county for 40 years, or 4 years, excuse me. Well, that was a lie, because one of my brothers is here now, and y'all had dumped road on there, dirt on the road previously, about 6 months prior.
Sure, would you please state what is the name of the road?
Holly Lane, that would be County Road 382.
Thank you.
Where is that located?
Just right across.
It did the road.
Across over the administrative. Okay.
He stated at the time I was the only one complaining. I made a comment, the reason he hadn't heard any complaints, that most of the people were dead now. They've been complaining for 40 years. Y'all made light of that effect. I believe Mr. Kessler had come took a tour with me on the road that time. So don't drag you in it. But I'm not the only one that had complained. He also said at the time that road was a pig path turned into a new road. Old Augusta Road used to be an Indian trail. It's now an interstate. Try pulling out of Holly Lane on that incline and that dirt and that traffic in the morning or the evening. I invite you to try that sometime. But we had complained during that period, and for the last 40 years, most of the people are dead or dying. That's why they're not here. My brother's ill, his neighbor's ill. And you made light of the fact of what I'd said about people being past. They had complained about the road in the past. We're not asking you to fix the road. We're telling you to do something with the road. It's a county road, the county responsibility to maintain that road or fix the deplorable conditions of said road, Holly Lane. You all wasted my time meeting with me at the road director, commission chairman at Holly Lane, acting like you cared. Now my truck is damaged and I intend on suing the county. I'm not turning a claim in on my insurance. We have a video of the road crew spending 15 minutes to make it worse. Your engineer would not give me or us the time of day.
Does the road need to be graded? I mean, what's the condition of the road?
It's deplorable. They drained the road. They have Phil's aware of the condition of the road.
Well, you're talking to us, so we're trying to all understand.
Okay,
This is the
well,
first
and
time we've had it, I've heard of it.
your new road director is aware of the condition.
And who is that? Who's he talking
Craig,
about?
somebody, I didn't get his last name, your new guy, said he's been here 4 months.
Okay.
He called me this morning, conscientious young man, I like him already. He said it was stupid to drain the road. You've got one ditch and the water drains out of other people's driveways across the road. It's totally wiped out. It's like they take get the weather report the day before it's going to rain, so let's go grade Holly Lane.
Okay, excuse me one second. Boss, do we have a plan for this? I mean, he could go on, but we're getting the gist of it. So do you have any kind of input for us as to where we are on this? Because I'm hearing that the chairman's been out there, and so what is the deal?
I need to speak with Lee about it. It's in an easement. The whole road is built within a 60-foot access easement. And without doing title work, I don't know who the easement belongs to. I suspect it's for the property owners out there, not the county.
Correct. It is, and it is a 60-foot easement, and that's all I'm asking y'all to do is utilize that easement.
Well, and what I need to know is, do we have the rights to do so, or is it is the easement between the property owners and not the county? My guess is that it's probably, from our standpoint, more prescriptive easement, and it's the part that we maintain. And I don't know if we can get outside. I need to speak with the attorney tonight about that.
Well, y'all are the experts about that. I'm just addressing, again, that it's been going on for 40 years.
We may not be able to until we can.
What he just said to you was, and you say is that he needs to check with the attorney because we may not, according to legal ways, be the owner of that road or have responsibility for that road. That's what's in question. This is the first time I'm hearing of it tonight.
Well, no, you heard about it 2 years ago. You don't recollect it because y'all just brushed it off as we're just a bunch of stupid rednecks down there and not gonna address it.
Well, that's not correct, and I really don't appreciate that. I'll say that back to you, because I hear what you're saying.
Well,
You know,
there's things that I don't
So are
appreciate
you saying that
also.
you came to a public meeting, is that what you're saying? 2
Excuse
years
me?
ago? Are you saying that you came to a public meeting 2 years ago?
Correct.
Okay.
And Phil, I'm sure he recalls it.
Okay.
And if I could continue, please. All the residents are on board, with the exception of Mr. Gunn, who I was told has some connection with the county and doesn't want a ditch on his side of the road of Holly Lane. He doesn't speak for the rest of the residents. He has the shortest distance to drive on said road. And we all are down there, taxpayers and voters. I spoke with my representative, John Burns, who's a family friend, and his staff of the condition of County Road 382. My mother, God rest her soul, went before a TV station, WTOC, 40 years ago, when you, the county, dumped clay on Holly Lane and made it impassable. We are prepared to do the same. I spoke with your county road director this morning. I like him. And we discussed.
What we can do, from what I've already heard, we need to have our attorney look into this to make sure we have the rights to do the work on the road. And from there, we can direct staff to make the improvements that we can. I mean, I don't.
Well, again, it's been 40 years, there's been no improvements. And again, the county prisons you had doing it was doing a better job than your county taxpayer-paid employees.
What I'm telling you tonight.
Excuse me?
What I'm telling you tonight is we can have our attorney review the easement, find out if we have the rights to make these improvements, or at least get on the property to address some of these concerns.
Okay. Can I continue? We feel like we've been discriminated against because we live beside Dog Patch. We're over the road conditions. Y'all just not taking into consideration. This is my second time being up here. The last time I came, I waited my turn for 6 hours from 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Somebody was complaining about, at the time, somebody's pit and using their road. They had a permit to use the road. Y'all told them that they had no grounds to shut down the road if the guy had permits to do the road. My engineer friend says it'd take $1,000 of material to fix it. I'm sure there's going to be labor involved in that, but again, there's a 60-foot easement there. Utilize it.
Again, I think I hear what you're saying.
Okay, that's what I want y'all to do. That's why I want y'all to hear me. That's why I'm here. And I'm sure that some friends of mine, Judy Triplett, which I'm sure y'all know, and John Burns, our state representative, I'm sure he would agree that the conditions of that road is deplorable, and it's not been addressed for 40 years. Y'all have run enough material down there in the bottoms to have paved it twice. We don't want it paved. We want it fixed. That's all we're asking.
But if we can fix it, if the county can fix it, we will do our best to try to fix it for you.
Well, that's what I'm here. I'm asking y'all. I'm not begging, because I'll do what I have to do. If I have to get TV crew out there and get y'all all out there on the news, that's what we'll do.
We prefer to try to work with you, if you'll allow us.
Excuse me?
I said we would prefer to try to work with you.
Well, I've been waiting on y'all for 2 years to work
This is
with
the
me.
first time I've ever met you. I don't remember.
Well, maybe you weren't the chairman at the time. Were you the chairman 2 years ago?
He's not the chairman.
He's not the
filling in for the chairman tonight.
Okay. Well, get out of that chairman seat then. Because I thought you was the chairman. Whoever was supposed to be there was there, did a tour 2 years ago of the road.
But we'll see what we can do.
And your director now agrees that it's stupid to wash road material, run water across the dirt road. You can do it on concrete and pavement, not a dirt road, that's not
And
ignorant.
I would agree with that.
That's stupidity.
We just don't know if we can legally dig a ditch on the other side of somebody else's property.
Well, Mr. Gunn,
We can't take his property, but we can't.
well, what's the easement purpose? If it's a 60-foot easement, I don't understand.
If it's not in our name, if the easement is deeded between property owners, an easement does not give the county the right to enter.
Well, every property owner on the road would give you permission to do the road except Mr. Gunn.
And that is apparently where the ditch needs to be, is what I'm trying to say. That's where we need to, I don't know how we get legally on it without his permissions.
We can't just take it.
That's the problem. I understand the 60-foot easement, but I don't know that that easement is for the county's use. I think it's for all the property owners' use. The only thing we're responsible for, can legally do on a prescriptive easement, is where we've been maintained.
Well,
Basically, need to have the.
I know it sounds crazy.
I get that. I sort of get that. I mean, I was ignorant. I thought an easement, and that's what it is. It's an easement to maintain the road, make it wider. Like I said, Old Augusta Road's an interstate now. Our road's the same condition. 40 years later, it's in the very same condition. Y'all have wasted money running it down into the bottoms. Something can be done about it. Even the maintenance that's being done now is piss poor. It's terrible. They could, like I said, we got a video of it spending 15 minutes.
I believe Mr. Riles will help with that.
Well, it sounded like he's not a stupid person.
He didn't, he obviously wasn't aware. And recently I didn't know, aware of the ongoing maintenance concerns.
Well, you don't live on it, we're aware of it.
What we can tell you tonight is that we'll have our attorney look into what our rights are as far as that easement, and we'll try to make improvements.
Okay, well, I'm just making y'all aware of my position, and we're not just letting it go. And that's why I've been in touch with my representative.
I think we have an agreement here, we'll try
And
to.
I can tell you, for the most part, I believe in any scenario, whether it's you or someone else, no matter where it's located, if we do recognize that there's a road in bad repair, and if you come to us before and we've missed that, I'm sorry, but I won't do it because I'm threatened. I'll do it because that's the right thing to do. That'll be my vote for it. I can just tell you that. We want to do what's right.
That's what I want. Do what's right. That's all I'm asking. Thank you for your time.
Okay. We need an executive session. Can I get a vote for an executive session? Make a motion to go into executive session. Personnel, property, and opinion of the.
A second.
John, city session.
We did that.
I need a motion to approve executive session minutes
The September 20th.
for September 20th, 2016.
Make a motion that we approve those minutes as stated.
Second. Have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Deloach. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any other business?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.